me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up.
A creed at the core of every American whose story is not yet written. Yes, we can.
Regulators. We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Regulators! Mount up.
Well, good evening. I'm Brian Redding, your host of United Spectrum.
And I'm Justin Baker. I'm your host of United Spectrum.
We welcome you to our first podcast. It's not going to be conventional at all, would you say, Justin?
Definitely not. It's kind of like a buffet of topics and ideas and going back in time and history. And I think when you and I talked about creating this, I think we want to have the conversations that people are afraid to have.
Mm-hmm. And I think the reason we came up with the name United Spectrum is because we come from different spectrums of the world, different places, different backgrounds. But as men, we can get together and have conversations and tackle issues that people aren't too comfortable tackling.
I think the idea, too, is when you and I talked about this, it's not only having the conversations that people are uncomfortable about, but it's trying to open each other's minds to a different walk of life. And there was so much going on in today, and I think the media has certainly played their part in it. That's what we are now, that's what we're doing. But I think what we're trying to do is break down any political agenda and just kind of state it maybe from our point of view. And our hope is that as a audience member that you can maybe, you don't have to agree with what we say. I know you're not going to, but perhaps maybe you could open your mind enough to think about, oh, well, that's why they think that way, or that's why they believe that, and or maybe, and just kind of open some minds, because I think that's the problem we have is everyone is set in their ways of what they want, and they're not willing to listen to anybody else, and that's why we have this stalemate of a more divided line in 2017 than we've ever had.
Well, when you turn on any station, anybody that you listen to is going to be, there's going to be one perspective, one opinion. What I hope for everyone to gain from our podcast is that, like I said, you'll see different ends of the spectrum. You'll hear some things we're not going to agree on, and I don't know, being a human being with a brain and actually believing that you're a leader, not just saying that you're a leader, that you can follow 100% of anything that anyone says. So with that being said, we'll get into our first topic of the evening. You want to go ahead and take the lead on that?
Are we talking football? Because we got to talk about football.
I think football is the first place to start. That's an important place.
I think we need to start there because that'll open the political spectrum in a minute. But when you asked me what I wanted to talk about tonight, one of the things I thought about was 2017, the NFL, the No Fun League, trying to become a little bit more fun, and Commissioner Roger Goodell saying, "Hey, you know what? This year you guys can do end zone celebrations and have a little bit of fun with it. Don't get carried away. Apparently, if you're Odell Beckham, you can't mark the territory."
Well, I tell you what, when you say that we're going to have a little fun, I thought they were really going to be able to enjoy themselves with some fun, and it turns out that that's not really the case.
It's fun with a leash.
Yes, because there's still a leash to it. The celebration still has some rules to it. When you talk about being offensive, it can't hold up the game. Taunting still will draw a 15-yard penalty. The celebration shouldn't reenact any weapons. Case in point, Le'Veon Bell against the Chiefs the other night scores a touchdown, 3 yards, runs into the end zone and goes to the goalpost, and proceeded to do a little boxing against it. And right away, there we are. There's a flag.
First flag of his celebration. But on the flip side, he had another great one yesterday, or Sunday, I should say, with he and Antonio Brown. They played hide and seek.
Yeah.
That I thought was great. That was probably one of the best ones of the year.
I think that was the best one right there. It looks good, but the thing that we're doing, man, is that you give people all this freedom, and we're always taking away like the freedom to do anything. This is week 7. I mean, this game is emotional. These guys they're emotional about the game, and it's serious. They practice hard, they work out hard, they watch film, It's a serious thing. So when you score a touchdown, I mean, it's a big deal. You know, some of these guys don't score a touchdown the whole year.
Well, you think about the other professional sports too, like they're all acting on emotion, right? Like hockey, you get into a fight, they don't stop that, they let that go. In basketball, you see guys go at it from time to time, they scrap. Yeah, there's going to be technicals and things of that nature, but it's an emotional game. And then even in baseball, you'd think one of the least emotionless games out there for me. And then at the end of the day, you have some of the best brawls out there. So I don't know. I hate to see the flags. You're right. It's like, yeah, you guys can celebrate, but at our discretion. And that's kind of, for the fans, they want to see that. This was sparked by, in 2016 season, the Ezekiel Elliott hopping into the, what do you call it, the Salvation Army bucket.
Yeah.
And it kind of created the conversation. But I don't know, man. What do you think? After 7 weeks, has the NFL gotten it right? Have you seen some better ones and bad ones? What do you think?
I mean, I think they've got it right on the celebrations so far. But like I said, there's a cap on it. And, you know, the biggest thing for me is that you shouldn't cap the emotion as long as it's not bringing harm to anyone else. You know, the rules are put in effect, but I think that if the rule's going to be put in effect, it shouldn't be put in effect by the league. It should be put in effect by the coach. The coach to say, hey, this is a distraction. Hey, guys, we're not having a good game. What are you celebrating for? You know, because sometimes these guys are celebrating a touchdown, and the game is far to be determined who the winner is going to be.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that you need to, give it some time. Let these guys be emotional, and the league just needs to stay out of it. I mean, like I say, I think freedom's being taken away from the players on all aspects, and we're not even seeing the emotions from these guys. We're not really being in touch with the people that we're playing. I want to know, I want to see some moves. I want to see who really got some moves. I'd love to see, Dak Prescott, go into the end zone and do a cartwheel and a backflip. I mean, that'd be exciting for me.
I miss the days of T.O., like with the Sharpie and the pom-poms and the popcorn. Chad Ochocinco, he'd put on the Hall of Fame jacket, things of that nature. But you mentioned the fun part of that, but then you get into the more serious part of it, and you said specifically that a lot of their freedoms have been taken away in more ways than one. Mm-hmm. And we could do a whole podcast on this alone, but just getting into the idea of what's been going on with the national anthem. What's your take on what you've seen so far through 7 weeks and what the president said and how players and owners especially have responded?
Well, what I like to call it the kneel. I'm going to be honest with you. I think there was a meaning initially, and now I think it's going too far. And the reason I'd say it's going too far is because it's affecting lives of people whose lives it really affect. And again, I'm going to say that again. It's affecting lives on people that it really affects. And in a nutshell, I mean, Colin Kaepernick did this a year ago, okay? And there was a handful of guys. We made a big deal out of it. He's pretty much the only one I can respect right now is because he took a stand, took a chance of maybe losing his job. Wasn't the best quarterback as there was anyways, but still made a stand of maybe losing his job and unemployed. And then you have our fearless leader, quote unquote, brings a little bit more light to it. And it took for Donald Trump to talk about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and calling them sons of bitches, son of a bitch, in order for them to pay attention. So to me, what are we really? Are you kneeling for what Colin Kaepernick said, or are you kneeling because Donald Trump called you a son of a bitch?
Yeah, and I think that's where you and I are going to agree in this sense because the thing that people forget about Kaepernick is. I think you're right. I think the message is lost for him because he was taking a knee, in his own words, to bring light the fact that justice for all, and that he didn't feel that there is, and there are many behind him that support that cause and feel the same way. And Definitely. What was funny is for the first couple of games, he was actually sitting down on the bench during the national anthem, and a military veteran, an Army vet, told him, "Hey, you know what? That's a little bit disrespectful, but if you want to get your message across and still be respectful,
take a knee.
Why don't you take a knee?"
Yeah.
And that's what it's so funny to me. And so then all of a sudden, Trump says what he says, and all of a sudden, all these people that didn't want to speak for the last 8 years, they were afraid to speak out, are like, yeah, what he said. Yeah, what he said.
Definitely.
And the thing is I was in New Orleans this weekend, and I had people ask me this. Based on my other job working in sports, and it's all, you can't have sports talk radio now and not talk about this, but they were like, dude, what's what do you think? And I gave my opinion without giving my opinion. That's how you do it on the political side.
Yeah, that's how you have to
balance
do it.
family and work. But,
well, you're gonna make enemies either way you go.
Yeah.
So you just got to be true to your heart. And I'm gonna be honest with you, injustice is something that that black people are facing every day. Okay, let's not get that misconstrued or skip out on that. But my point is, maybe the football field isn't the place to do it. Just because those guys that are out there on the field that are taking a knee, they're an example for the rest of the world. I mean, you have, for instance, here in Kennesaw, Georgia, you had 4 cheerleaders take a knee during the game and the mascot. And now they're in a position to maybe losing their scholarships for taking a knee. And who's going to pay for them to go to school? So that's what I mean by now that this is affecting people that it really affects. Because these guys aren't being affected yet. These guys haven't lost their job. There's been one guy lost his job for this. There's people outside of the NFL that you would call small people. These are the everyday people that watch this game, that have love for the game, that follow what these leaders are doing. But, on the backlash, you got people losing their job. And then I take a look over social media, and let me tell you, football right now is a major distraction. It's a separation. We just drew the line in the sand of separation because of a football game, because of a guy taking a knee. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to spew off any stats for you, but I started to question this a little bit more. And I don't know about you, but when did the government become a part of the NFL? First off,
that's kind of my point. Why is he the man? Why is the president, the commander in chief, the president of a private organization?
I don't get it. So then I got to doing a little research myself, and I wanted to take a look at it. So. Is the NFL in the back pocket with the president right now for ratings? Like, is something going on between these guys? Like, we're struggling and you need a diversion. Let's come up with a plan. So if I tell you this, that after week 1, Fox reported that NFL's viewership was down 5% from last year, okay? But what did change is after Trump made the statement that he made, that Sunday's football NFL kickoff pregame show had 39% more views than last year. Just because of Trump's statement. So no one's been paying attention to the NFL, and they felt that. And my question now is, do you think it's a possibility that the NFL and Trump are in back pocket for different reasons? Separation maybe from Donald Trump and for ratings for the NFL? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think Trump's in a lot of people's back pockets and vice versa. I think that's how he's gotten to where he is. I think certainly when you look at the stance of Roger Goodell and the NFL saying that, hey, our players have freedom of expression, they can do what they want, we're basically not going to listen to the president. And then after a couple of meetings a week later, they're like, well, you kind of got to stand, okay, or don't come out at all. And so the fact that they flip-flop on that kind of makes me think that a little bit. My other issue, too, is tell you why the ratings are down. Let's just be honest. I mean, Thursday Night Football last year was crap. Yeah. We had a good game this past Thursday, but primarily I think that you're looking at the times. And not only that, but maybe your ratings are down because you're playing all the time. Now, as fans, we love it, right? But in reality, like 10, 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, we didn't play NFL football 4 nights a week. It was on Sunday
night,
and Monday. And that was it. And Monday, you obviously had the viewership because that was it. Now it's on Thursdays. Once you get past Thanksgiving, you play a couple Saturday games. It just gets kind of wish-washy. And how are they judging this?
And I never looked at it from that perspective. That's actually
we watch it all kind of different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not watching it. And the thing is the way they used to do it was ratings. You had to vote, right, on a Nielsen box that you put in your home, which only represented about 4% of America. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying, well, the ratings are down 5%, based on the 4% that had a Nielsen box in their TV.
So everyone can even respond properly.
So I don't, and now that you can watch games on Twitter, you can watch them over the internet, you can watch them on your phone if you have, Fire TV or whatever. It's just, there's so many different factors that they're not judging. I think it's a political thing for sure.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think that it was a mastermind move by Donald Trump. To be honest with you. I mean, this guy's not an idiot. He just has to tweet a couple things and make someone choose a side. That's it. We're just drawing a line in the sand. And NFL is just a platform where it's actually being used right now. But we're taking the fun out of everything. Like I say, you can't even have the freedom in the NFL to take a knee or stand up or sit down. If I'm not mistaken, what was that? 2012, the government paid $5 million to the NFL for the players to come out through the national anthem to be more patriotic.
It was part of the military service that wanted to do a sponsorship with it, and that's. But here's my thing: is just as a side, all the people that I talk to that are offended don't even know why they're offended, and you weren't offended. Like if they didn't come out of the tunnel, would you care? No. Let me tell you something. I've done a lot of baseball games that are broadcast before, where I've been sitting down writing notes. I've been shoving food in my mouth because the national anthem plays right before you get going.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever said, "Hey, stand up! You're disrespecting me." You know, and that's kind of the thing is like, and then. Can we transition for just a second to go into something that you talked about, the disrespect of the flag? And I'm not going to get too far off of Trump. I agree with you there, but the disrespect of the flag thing drives me nuts. The disrespect of the flag, nowhere in there doesn't say anything about kneeling, but yet we commercialize the American flag more than we ever have before.
Man, that's a
that's another podcast for another day.
That's another one because we can touch this from so many aspects when you talk about from cultures. No one's taking in consideration how the next person feels, and that's the biggest issue I'm running into. Is that you have to understand that what black people are talking about when they talk about the this flag and the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem, and we really break these words down. It's very hurtful, and to someone that's never been in a situation of feeling that type of hurt, it's something they can't understand. So that's not something you speak with people that can't have an understanding of something they've never been through, and they don't realize that that's a problem. But then when it comes to the flag, if you've never had any, war vets, that flag meant a lot to them, and what it actually stood for them, then you run into the situation of like I said, the line is being drawn, but at the beginning and the end of it, from the beginning and the end, it's all about freedom. And that's what that flag is supposed to represent. So, if America's doing something that I don't agree with, and I'll tell you what, I don't want to be anywhere else. There's nothing like being in America. We have freedom here all over the country, and it's not all the way free. So if that national anthem is telling us about freedom, if we see something that's a discrepancy in the freedom that you say, then we need to speak on that, and we need to fix that. And I feel like people don't want that to be fixed. We're talking about freedom, okay? And that's what it stands for. So it's everyone's right to decide to make the decision that was given to God, from God, to have the right to do what you want to do with your mind or your mouth.
It goes along the same lines that I think there's I don't want to say an arrogance, but maybe an ignorance by a lot of people out there. And I go back to sticking with football for a second. Mike Ditka, the former head coach of the Bears and the Saints, saying that there hasn't been an oppression in America in years.
Well, that's bullshit.
And that's what's funny to me is like, Ditka was alive when Rosa Parks got arrested, right? He was alive when Dr. King got shot. To sit here and say that there hasn't been oppression when it's still going on to this day, and I thought that's the ignorance. Like, I feel like there's a large party of people out there that don't want to believe it. They don't want to think that there's an issue. They don't want to listen to what issues are being faced.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I'll get plain and simple, and we'll cut it dry. White America will never understand what oppression is. It doesn't matter how you scale it, how you format it. It doesn't matter how you articulate it. You can write it down. Those are just words that can be read. And the words that I'm speaking are just words that can be heard. But unless it's in your heart and you feel it every day, there's no understanding. So almost being a black man in America, it's like no purpose for that. There's no reason for me to explain to you because you're not going to understand. Even if I tell you and you think you have an understanding, you'll never feel it. So I think that it's all lost in the football. That's what I mean. Like, you're not going to even be able to explain this. Like, your kneeling is not showing the people that have no respect for your kneeling anything.
Yeah, it's lost its message at this point.
Totally.
And I think if you were to ask a non-minority in any case, we could talk about black people, we could talk about Hispanic people, it doesn't matter. You talk about the average white man and you ask him what he thinks of when he thinks of oppression for black people right now. I think he would tell you that it's true. Oh, well, yeah, those couple of rogue cops, killing them, that's oppression. But what they don't see is the day-to-day shit that you deal with. And I can respect that I don't see it, but I know what happens. And it's the oppression for I think black people in America is probably the most stealthy thing that's out there, right? Because you don't know, it's not always said to you directly, but it's the way that people look at you. It's the way they talk about your kids. It's the jobs that you don't get. It's it's the stereotypes.
Well, I think when white America thinks about oppression, the only thing they think about is slavery.
Right. Which they're like, oh, I had nothing to do with it. What am
Yeah.
I?
So they're like, that doesn't exist.
That's
You're
the
not
route.
oppressed anymore. Or they think about the young men that are gunned down. Okay, and that's another topic as well. But this is an everyday struggle. And maybe that's another podcast that we say that for. Like I said, you said it, Justin, that we could talk about that. That just, it intertwines so much with so many different things that you kind of have to draw a line and just have a segment just for that. Because, I mean, it's going on. Some people it's not going on to, and the people that it's not going on to, they'll never understand. And I mean, that's a summary. I don't know how else you can put it. I mean, that's a muted point.
I just, to the people that want to pretend to be offended, that were never offended and wouldn't be offended if it wasn't, if the color of the man's skin that was kneeling was different, shut up. Like, when did the wussification of America start? Because now you're telling me that you're not going to watch football and you're calling DirecTV because you want your cable package back or your money back for a Sunday ticket. No, you're not. You're saying that to be cool, be part of the conversation with your family and your friends, or to hide behind 140 characters on Twitter or an anonymous text or a call into a radio station or on an online blog post. Shut up and watch your football. Don't act like you're not watching it because someone's taking a knee. You don't care.
Donald Trump's a mastermind. That's all I'm going to say. That's the last thing I want to say is Donald Trump is a mastermind.
That's a scary thought. All right, Bill, let's switch gears a little bit. I value a lot of things in life. I think everything has a price tag and a dollar amount. One of the things that we got to bring up is something that came out over the weekend that I was reading, and that's Mr. Bill O'Reilly, big Fox News personality. Dude shelled out $30+ million in a settlement against him in a harassment lawsuit. So it begs the question: what's worth $30 million to cover up in your life?
I mean, for $32 million, I got some secrets. Let me tell you. So he said that, he settled on advice of his counsel. That his lawyers were telling him, you should take a settlement on this. And he said the reason he did it is for his family, that he didn't want some things that weren't true to come out and tarnish his name towards his family. If you pay someone $32 million and you think they're going to be quiet, if one person knows, it's no longer quiet. And I believe that if you really think that he was going to get away with that, if he thought that was just going to go away, and I heard this is not the first time. He did also make statements that in all his years that no one's ever complained about his harassment, which was not true as well. Megyn Kelly, who's also a journalist as well. Maybe if you haven't heard her, what is it, Sunday Night with Megyn Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. She sent a letter in November 15, 2016, complaining about his behavior as well. So this guy is a habitual offender to me. Bill O'Reilly's job is to do what?
It's to tell the truth. It's to give you the news. It's to investigate people and tell you what their dirt is.
Because he goes through people with a fine-tooth comb. And I'm going to tell you what, a lot of those people, if they had $32 million that he goes through with a fine-tooth comb, they probably sweep some stuff under the rug for them as well.
Well, we all got shit, I'll tell you that. I don't know. I mean, mine's probably worth $35. There's some stuff that I did in college I don't know that I would love my wife to have to think about or my kids to think about one day, but it's not worth $32 million was that settlement?
$32 million for that settlement.
And so on the other side, though, there's two sides to this.
Oh, yeah, you can flip the coin, but I also want to let you know that, before we flip the coin and play the devil's advocate, that Bill O'Reilly has done some dirtbag type things when you talk about the dirt he brings up on people and the way he talks to people. So in this case, I don't feel bad, but we do have to flip the coin because you know that sometimes when you work for a big network like Fox, not Fox, but
Well, for him, it was Fox
Yeah.
News.
Yeah, Fox.
Yeah,
I mean-
Viacom. I mean, it's a bigger conglomerate than that. You could say CNN. You could say MSNBC.
Yeah.
They all have their political agenda. That's what we're not. Like, we are the anti that.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what we're about. But what I want to say is that when you get to the top up there and you say something that an exec doesn't like, these people make examples out of you as well when you get out of character. So then you start questioning, like you said $32 million. What are you trying to hide? Why would you settle for that? That doesn't, I mean, who shucks out $32 million just like it's nothing? So evidently, like, I start thinking that he pissed somebody off and said something he wasn't supposed to say, and now we need to make an example out of him and get rid of him. But the big kicker after that is, how long did this go on?
Years, right?
Okay, but these allegations came out how long ago?
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Okay, so now, after he's been off the show, they just signed him again to come back on for $26 million.
Yeah, makes up for a little bit of what he lost by a lot.
But if he's such a dirtbag, why do you bring him back on? And why would he agree or even consider to come back on a show that
is going to put him back in that spotlight?
Well, if I wasn't mistaken, was it Sean Hannity's show he came on the other day, and the ratings kind of went a little higher when Bill O'Reilly came back on Fox for that special show, and then they want to offer him a contract? Am I mistaken by saying that, or is that correct?
No, that's correct. I mean, my issue with that though is it's kind of like when you want that side chick, like, she's good for a minute because you don't get it all the time, but then, like, in the end of the day, like, if you left your current chick and you went to your side chick, that side chick will get old real fast. And I kind of want to know if that's going to be the case with O'Reilly, right? Like, same thing in movies, why you should wait a certain amount of years to come out with a sequel. You want to build up that anticipation again. I think that's might have been some of the cases. Numbers might be skewed, but the issue is where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So I think going back to what we were saying, I think the allegations, there's some truth to them. There has to be. She's not the only one, but to how much truth? Because Fox obviously has the balls to sign him again, and if he's not doing the most severe things he's been accused of, then I think it's safe to re-sign him. But I mean, if to me, settling says you're guilty to a whole lot.
Well, just like I just said to you a minute ago, and like we said, we'll play the devil's advocate. But now in America, is it innocent until proven guilty, or is it guilty as soon as you're accused? I mean, where is the dirt? I mean, has anyone came out and said, hey, this guy had me, he pulled me in the side room, slammed me down on the couch, pulled my hair? I mean, I'm not going to, go into soft porn, but in a nutshell, you know what I mean? I mean, harassment is harassment. And I'm going to tell you, like, a man can feel it when he knows he's violating a woman. And a woman with any self-respect, there's not a dollar amount on harassment.
Yeah, you and I know some women like that. That at the end of the day, when it comes to respect, if they're crossed, you can't pay them off. They're gonna take it.
Oh yeah,
because it's their core belief.
They got to speak on it because I mean, how do you go to sleep at night? $32 million. Well, I guess you could sleep good with the $32 million, but how do you go to sleep making some allegations that aren't correct? That it could ruin someone's life. But also, if you're a woman that's been violated, and you've really been violated, like, I mean, I believe in America that, like, right now there's a price on anything.
Certainly.
I mean, people are doing anything for money. I'm talking anything, and it's horrible. I mean, morals are being thrown out the window just for a couple dollars or 15 minutes of fame. It's sickening. But I'm gonna tell you what, I wouldn't be upset if the allegations were what they say they are.
Yeah. And to answer the question of when you asked, is it are you guilty before innocent? And I think in the court of law, I think you're still innocent until proven guilty. But I think in society and in mass media, you are 100% guilty.
I think the media is your judge these days, though. I think social media is the judge.
They're the prosecutor, the defense, the judge, and the jury.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't even have to go to court right now. Only thing they have to do is put a poll up and let it sit up for a day and say, is is Bill O'Reilly guilty of these allegations? And if they say yes, then that's what it is. If they say no, then that's what it is. Because that's what it is about everything right now. As soon as it touches social media, if this is going on TV or social media, you hear it on the radio, you hear podcasts. The allegations are getting people's lives destroyed. People are being laid off from work with no pay, while investigations are being done for just being accused. I mean,
well, there's no process to journalism anymore. In years past, you had to have X amount of sources. You had to cite these sources. You had to send it to your editor. And to come out with allegations like this would take years to build up and to finally publish. Or even in the case of Richard Nixon and what happened with him, I mean, it still took a long time to process before an editor would ever come up with these things. And I go back to that nowadays because of social media and everything. Everybody wants to be the first, and a lot of times, like. So then the other thing is too is that there's the advertising dollar, right? Like we talk about fake news, like President Trump's favorite speech.
Definitely.
What's the idea behind fake news? It's clickbait advertising. It's to click on this, and people know that some of the better fake news sites that come up with the better headlines that people click on Facebook or whatever. As an advertiser, you actually want to advertise with them because people are going to see their ad all the time because they're going to click on these things. So. That's the problem with the whole guilty innocent thing is that everyone wants to be first, and there's no
no one's doing their due diligence.
Yeah, there's no fine combing like the
no, there's
like
no
we
due
just
diligence
said
being done.
when O'Reilly's trying to come up with these things with these people that he used to report on, and now report on him.
Yeah, but supposedly if he gives the source, it's correct. Like if he tells you it's the truth, like there's no way it can't be true. But these guys have to know like a lot of people to always be exactly correct on what they deliver. By no means would I say that I can be 100% about everything all the time because I only know what I'm told or what I research.
I would. I can't argue that. I can't argue that. You have to form your own opinion, but it has to be an educated opinion. So be careful with these sources.
It does. These sources, they'll get you in trouble, man. They'll have you making some enemies about some things you don't know what you're talking about.
Because everybody has their own political agenda.
Yeah, they do.
And there's money in their pockets that come up with the opinions that they come up with. That's the thing to think about.
In everybody's pocket. Everybody, like I said, for the dollar, everybody do anything for $1. So let's kind of switch gears again and let's touch this Wilson versus Trump.
Yeah, so when you go back and you look at what happened this week, and I think you have a congresswoman that's come out with some pretty strong allegations. You have a president that is defending these allegations for not only himself but really for his party, if you will, and for the military. So
for you guys that don't know, Wilson, she's a United States House of Representatives. She's a Democrat
in Florida.
And down in Florida, and she said, and I quote, Donald Trump said, I'm sorry, and I quote, she's a wacky congresswoman. This tweeting is just getting ridiculous. We have congressmen and women and presidents and senators tweeting about things that go on in the Oval Office. Okay, so she says that the ambush on Niger that left the 4 U.S. soldiers dead was Donald Trump's fault. She said Niger is, and I quote, Niger is Donald Trump's Benghazi. He needs to own it.
And then coming out with more allegations about him and the offering of the money, and it just gets convoluted, man. Like, what? Why are we having? We always have politicians argue, but why do you have the president calling out a congresswoman and congresswoman saying some things that are probably pretty true? But wasn't this? Isn't this supposed to be like tight knit, like secure?
I thought it was
at the highest level.
This stuff's all public, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they're all monsters. These people don't have hearts. These people don't care who they lose in war. These people don't care who they're fighting, who's fighting who. They don't care about the separation and everyday life. They're not real people to me. Okay,
no, it's not their kids. It's not their friends.
These are monsters. Family. So I'm going to tell you why her allegations went so deep, though. And I wasn't there, so I'm just telling you with my research what I found. But Trump's administration travel ban. They say that's part of the reason that these soldiers end up dying. Chad, which is right next to Niger, they have been fighting partners against the militants in Niger for forever. Okay, so when we put this travel ban on, Niger's payback pretty much for that because they were still included in that, even though they're allies and they helped fight for us over there, and they were still included. So what they did, for them being upset, they pulled their soldiers out. And the same exact place that those four soldiers were supposedly killed at is usually where Chad has their soldiers. That's usually I totally lost myself there. Usually that's where their soldiers secure that area. Usually that's their post. And since they've been pulling out, not helping us, and that's their exact post where they would have been to where we could have prevented this from happening. And that's why she's saying that's part of Donald Trump's fault.
My thing is it's to a degree. It is. I think it is to a degree. But why is she exposing this? What does she have to gain by this? And at the end of the day, I mean, look, there's a lot of people that didn't like what Obama did when he went in and got bin Laden, but he had to, right? Like, there were people that died in that, innocent people. But that's part of the it's part of the deal that you're dealt. And it's like you said, like, these people don't care. I mean, they don't know these people on a personal level.
No.
And so that's my issue with it is I'm not siding with either one of them. I agree that her attire is a little wacky, but I don't think she's wacky for what she said.
I don't think she's wacky for what she said, but like I said, there's a time and a place. You just
time
said
and place.
the
platform is like not right.
They're complaining about, and I don't want to go back to football, but they're saying that the football players, this is not the platform for them to make a stand. Well, let me
tell you where it's definitely.
Let me come around the corner with that. Is that I don't think that the platform for my president or any congresswoman to be on social media.
It's terrible.
I mean,
take away their tweets. What are you doing?
This is not professional by any means. We are a joke.
It's not a presidency. It's a television show being played out in front of the world, and it's a really bad punchline where the American people are the losers in this scenario.
Well, I'm afraid of where we're going. If this is where we are right now, if this is where we are, and by the way, we are a joke to other countries. Okay, they're laughing at what America has going on from day to day. United States, do you believe that's where we live? Do you believe we live in the United States, or do you believe we live in the U.S.?
I believe we live in the U.S. I think it's really hard to say that we're united about it.
It's not
anything.
A United State. I mean, this is the U.S. I mean, that's what you just need to call it. You need to call it the U.S. This isn't the United States of America, because by no means are we united. I think we have more domestic enemies than we have foreign. And then you start to question, are our foreign enemies really enemies?
Some could be, and if they want to be, I think this is the time for them to perhaps build their prowess. I think if you're looking at ISIS, if you're looking at North Korea, these powers that have been trained since birth to dislike the U.S., you talk about a fragile state for the United States. We're too busy, being so pissed off at each other that we're not really... I mean, I'm not saying that the national security isn't out there, but, I mean, how much can you really pay attention to what's going on overseas when we're too busy bickering back and forth with each other?
I'm going to be honest with you. Our military is the strongest military you're going to find around. Who's not in touch with what's going on is not our military. They know what's going on. We as the people don't know what's going on. And I feel like we're being led with the carrot away from it to not notice what's going on. Because there's some things going on. Our military fights. You know what I mean? I know some real in-depth soldiers. I know some guys that aren't in the military that are some soldiers. We have some very militant Americans. The thing is that we're missing out on the bigger picture because we're fighting our own people. This shit is crazy. This shit's nuts. I don't have understanding for it. I don't understand how we can't see through the smoke and mirrors.
I think what's funny is it's the same thing on a micro level that was happening with the NFL and the players kneeling versus not kneeling, and there was two different sides. And it took one great event, one great manipulator to get them all in unison, to do something for the first time as a team, whether they knelt or stood together or stayed in the locker room minus one guy for Pittsburgh. Whatever the case was, it took one great event for them to come together. What is that next event going to be? And my fear is it's going to be another 9/11 or something of that nature that's going to say, oh, you know what, Bryant? Let's stop arguing about, who dresses like what or who believes in this. I think it's going to take this catastrophic event for people to maybe put down their swords against each other and focus on somewhere else.
I'm going to be honest with you. The next event that's going to happen, the big event, and I don't want to call it, but it's drastically, it's true. It's right in front of us, but The race war in America will begin, and it will be televised. Matter of fact, it's being televised right now, okay? The race war, okay? We have a war in the United States right now. You believe it or not, are you ready for war? Because the war is here right now. I mean, we're fighting each other right now. We're using words. It's real big on cyberspace. But the only thing it's going to take is for one race to... I mean, we were close to a war at Charlottesville, okay?
Oh, damn near close.
Okay.
Damn near close.
I'm going to tell you something about Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you something about our government. They do not care about color, okay? That's just something for the American people to keep you distracted. You know, me personally, race, religion, and politics, this is what keeps our people separated. Donald Trump is a mastermind, okay? The envelope has... They've wanted to push the envelope for Republicans for the last 8 years, okay? And like I told you, I don't take sides, no Democrat, no Republican, liberals. I don't even care. I'm a man of God. God is in my heart, and that's what I have. But I'm going to tell you what my opinion is. They don't care about being a Republican, a Democrat, a Muslim, a Christian, a Catholic. They don't care about that. Those are separation tools. And as long as people choose a side, the line will be drawn in the sand to keep us from connecting and being the United States of America. Donald Trump, economically, he's going to do some things. He's going to make some money. That's what they thought. But they know politically, he's not a politician. So we're going to get this guy in office. We're going to advise him. He's going to touch the surface, and we've already been in the core for the last 8 years waiting to get our plan off. And we'll advise him. And he's going to make some bad decisions because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And I think it's a little bit more overwhelming, but they know that he's a mastermind. America knows that Black America has no feelings for Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump says something towards Black America, they're going to rebel against anything that he says.
Right.
To me, that's a mastermind, dude. He's not an idiot by any means. You think he just gets on Twitter, he just wakes up in the middle of the night on the way to go to the bathroom to piss and fix his hair and then says, oh, I had a dream about this, let's tweet it. No, this guy's sitting there for like 8 hours.
Well, it goes back to how he won the election. He had said back in the 80s if he ever ran for president, he would run for the Republican Party because, quote, they'd be stupid enough to buy what he would say. And I think that he created enough controversy throughout his entire campaign that he knew that he would get his following.
But see, they want the Republicans wanted him in the office though because
they thought they did.
No. I mean,
I think there's a strong contention of them that feel that they no longer can control.
Yeah. So you said they thought they did, but I'm gonna say they heard what he said. Okay, if you've heard it about what he said, you know they heard it, right? So they're like, he thinks he's gonna get over on us. We're gonna get over on him. We'll put him in the office, and then we can push our envelope through his back pocket because he knows nothing about politics. Well, what happened was, he's doing what they want him to do, but then he's doing some shit that they don't want him to do. And it's a big deal. What he's doing that he wants to do is bigger than what they want to do. He's bringing too much attention to them. So they want him out the office as well. I mean, I'll tell you that I think that Trump he's done a lot of great things for people that we're not giving him credit for.
Because we're too pissed off about the things that he's not doing right.
No, we're paying attention now. We weren't paying attention. No one was paying attention, dude. We were just letting our presidents do whatever the hell they wanted to do.
True.
We weren't holding them accountable. We weren't going against it. He says that America's against him. Well, if he wasn't on Twitter, we wouldn't even know. He's brought the attention to himself. But he's woke. He's awakened a lot of people. Some sleeping giants. Let me be honest with you. There's some sleeping giants out here that like people have no clue who they are, and they're ready. Okay, and they're educating people, and it's all because of Donald Trump, because nobody wasn't paying attention until Trump got to saying the things that he was saying. But this government doesn't care about us. This color thing. I mean, I was reading something by Jane Elliott, and she said she does this when she goes to give seminars for students, and this was like really creative to me. And then I'm not going to touch this for too much longer, but what she said was, she walks into class. It's like a salad, a nice salad. We always talk about America's a melting pot. A melting pot looks like shit. When you put all these different colors in a melting pot and melt it, it looks like shit. We're different. You got a salad, you got green lettuce, you got some cucumbers that are green.
Little tomatoes.
You got some you got some red tomatoes. You know what I mean? You got some blue cheese crumbles, a little shredded cheese. It's colorful, okay? That's what we are, okay? We're colorful and we're different. But all together, we look great. I'm going to be honest with you. So what she says is she goes in And she asked these students, that's a salad. It's a room full of salad, okay, with all these different color students. And she says, will all the black students stand up? Will all the white students, all the black people stand up? Will all the white people stand up? Will all the Chinese people stand up? And then she asked, so everyone's different, right? And then she said, everyone that's a part of the human race, please stand up.
Everybody. All at once.
So everybody stands up. So at the end of the day, man, like what I'm saying is that there's some injustice. There's a lot of hate, bigotry, discrimination, prejudice. It's all going on. But at the end of the day, there's only one race, man. It's the human race. And we're supposed to be different. But we need to take people's differences in consideration and wonder what's really different about them.
I think it's a good point to embrace our differences, and that's the whole meaning behind this show is this podcast is to basically say, hey, look, it's okay to be different. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree and do it in a peaceful and polite manner. And look, man, there's a lot of things that you and I will get to as we touch this even further on and into further episodes, but we grew up in two totally different backgrounds, and I don't know that I would have survived yours, and there's an argument maybe you wouldn't have survived mine, and I don't mean in a sense of
I don't take it
of life and death, but in a sense of just the differences and the men that it has made us become. So yeah, I think it's the idea is to bring to light the different ideas and that it's okay to be different. And look, man, we all have influenced each other whether we realize it or not. There's things in my life that I can thank one person from every different ethnicity that's brought into my life, whether it be culture, music, food. That's the thing that gets me is there's some great food, there's some great music, there's some great literature, there's so many great things that come from different backgrounds that we can't just forget about these things that brought us together and maybe just appreciate each other for being the great, big, beautiful salad that we are.
I think you hit the hammer on the nail. I want to go ahead and let's touch on this last subject. And we've talked about a lot of negative things. We've shared some different opinions. I want to get your perspective on love.
Okay.
To me, love is a powerful thing, and it's something that we're not in touch with anymore. There's no type of love. When you think of love, can you kind of give me your definition of what love consists of to you?
Love is probably the hardest thing to describe, right? It's an emotion. Mm-hmm. It is an act. It is a belief. And it is a hard thing to define because there's so many different types of love, right? Like the love you have for your kids is different than the love you have for your wife. The love that you have for your parents is different than the love you have for both of those. Love you have for your dogs. So
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So since there's a difference in the love, how you love your wife, your kids, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, is the ending result different? What you'll do for your love?
Hopefully not, because if it's really love, then hopefully the end result is you take a bullet for anybody.
So there's not a hopeful to it then. You said hopefully not. Yeah. I mean, if the ending result is like, I love my wife, I love my kids, I love my mom. Like at the end of the day, like I'm gonna kill for all of them, though, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, like I'm gonna do anything for all of them. It doesn't matter if I love my wife because, like, you know what I'm saying, she does some tricks that no one else can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or I love my son because, like, he's the best son in the world in my eyes, and that's my truth.
Right.
The point of the matter is that I think that we have to look at love as what it is and not what we want it to be. When someone says that they love you, do you ever like test how much they love you?
I don't test, but I've questioned it before. I maybe not like purposely test, probably subconsciously for sure.
I know I do.
But have you asked? What do you mean? Like my wife does that now. Like when you say you love me, what does that mean?
Yeah. So are you asking me like how would I define it?
No, I mean, yeah, to a degree, but I mean, like, you've come across that, like, that's always the thing is, like, it's so commercialized now, right? It's a 4-letter word. It's a holiday in a sense. It's
pictures on social media.
It's pictures on social media. It is in movies. It's, like, it has a title, romance, right? Based on love.
Yeah.
So that's what is, what do you think of love when
I think of love, I think of everything. Everything that we do is because of love. You know, like, when a man gets up and he has a family and he goes to work every day and he doesn't want to get up and go to work and, you know, he's making minimum wage and he's working 60 hours a week. He has a part-time hustle. He doesn't see his family, and he's tired and he wants to give up. What keeps him striving is love. Okay? When you walk around your house in the middle of the night and no one's awake, and I do this because I'm a weirdo like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little thrown off. But when you walk around and you get to opening doors and look at your kids sleeping, look at your wife sleeping, look at what you have, think about the struggles that you went through, and when your heart is touched, when you can walk through and see those things, that's love. Love isn't when I get on Facebook and I tell my wife I love her, I tell my mom I love her, or I post a picture with my kids and put a heart emoji, followed by, a purple eggplant emoji for my wife. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
with the peach.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not love, but love is everything else. I mean, a lot of times, even the sickest people that are sick, it's because of lack of love.
I buy that. You ever had a bad breakup and it's like, I know people can relate. You have a bad breakup, you're sick to your stomach, you don't want to eat that day. I mean, I don't know if it's love or lust at that point. You have to define that later on, and I think only time can tell. But I think you get that sickness from a lack of love.
I think we're all sick from a lack of love right now in the world, period. We have no love for our neighbor. We don't really love our friends. We don't really love our kids. We do things because we're selfish. We're born as selfish people.
We love ourselves. That's where we're at right
But you got to understand, when I want somebody to love me like I want them to love me. I don't want you to love me like you want me to love me.
Right. That's the hard part.
And that's
the unrealistic expectation, the unachievable goal.
But you keep working for it because you really want some love, though. You know what I mean? Like, some people are in a room full of people and they don't have any love. A lot of these stars, you wonder why they're crazy? Because they're in a room with a whole bunch of people and no one really loves them. They don't know where the love. I mean, love is when you're at the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
And somebody they still want to kiss your toe even though y'all been walking through the dirt together. You know what I'm saying? Like, your breath stinks in the morning and I still want to give you a kiss. Like, that's love right there, because, you know what I mean? Like,
there's a lot of people that love a lot about you, but there's not many people that are like, and hopefully it's the one you end up with, but there's not a whole lot of people that love you for all that you are.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't know what love meant until probably a couple years ago, to be honest with you. I had told a lot of people I love them, and maybe some of them I wish I could take that back, but when that word love comes out, I hold it at a high standard. So now that I really know what love is, I'm like, I hope they don't try my love. Like, I hope they don't test it, because, like, I didn't know what it meant and I said it. And what do they say about the law? Like, not knowing is not an excuse.
Right.
So, like, I'm still held accountable for telling you I love you. But I'm going to go to the ends of the earth if I tell you I love you, you know? So, like, in depth, like, my family got to understand. I done told people I love them, and, like, I'm going to have to be there for them, you know what I mean? Because my word is all I got. So at the end of the day, when you lay down and you've told someone that you love them, we don't have an understanding. You're supposed to take love to, like, the fullest extent. And I love hard. And I'm going to test your love, and it don't mean we're not going to never be upset at each other, and that, that we might not go years without talking. But I told you I love you, and I'm a man. I'm working on being a man of my word at all times. So if it's something that happened in the past, I mean, you still got to uphold that word love, man. Like,
I think if you really love somebody, you go through those trials and those tribulations.
Well, that's what makes your love strong.
Exactly. And the love is what gets you through those times.
It's a test. Love is a test.
It's a test. It's a
because
test.
You say I love you, and then, like, some shit gonna happen, and we gonna see, like, if you really love me, or was you just, like, saying that shit. So, like, it's a test.
Was it a poetic thing, or was it like an actual feeling that you have? You know what I mean?
It might have been a feeling for like 20 minutes.
Mine too, but
20 minutes on a bad day though. Let's not get that twisted. I mean, this is our first podcast, and I'm gonna be honest with you, we scratched the surface a little bit, and we'll get more in depth. But the basis of it is to show, to piggyback what Justin said, is that two men from two different places, the common goal, which is to live life and be a better person. I know that our voices might not be heard around the world. But I'm going to tell you something, a secret of mine, that I think will help for all of our success. Black, white, Hispanic, Italian, anybody, okay? At the end of the day, if we really want a better world, we must start inside of our homes. There's no purpose in trying to convince an adult, persuade their minds to think the way your mind thinks. But inside of your home with your children that you're raising, the first thing I say you tell your kids every day is they need to focus on being a good person. And if more of us focused at home on making sure our kids are trying to be good people, then we can make their generation a lot better than what ours is right now.
I think at the end of the day, to follow it up, you got to come in every day with a positive mindset, and you control that yourself. So don't allow anyone else to steal your thunder in the morning or to set the tone in a negative way. Start out with a smile. You set the tone. You say have a great day, and try you go throughout your day to be a little bit better each and every day. And if you can do that, hopefully eventually we'll get to a point where maybe Brian and I are obsolete, and so is everybody else out there, because we're living in one nation under God with justice for all. But until that day comes, we'll continue to have a show. We'll continue to debate. And as you said, we just scratched the surface. So we'll try and do this every week, make it happen, give or take a holiday or two. I think we can still get it in there. But look, man, we only scratched the surface. So at the end of the day, there's still a lot more to get to. But I think it's it's one step in the right direction, and we will clean it up, and we will get better, and we'll get more in depth.
That's right.
And then we'll also get some other people's opinions too.
Yep, we want to have us some very intelligent, debatable people, I would say. People that can articulate. But again, I'm Bryant Redding, your host here of United Spectrum.
And I'm Justin Baker, your host of United Spectrum. Until then, B, let's say this. Let's just get it out there. Stay safe. Be smart. And
let's just be good people. That's all I can ask.